Skeletons of the Marital Closet by Tang. Chapter 1221. It was psychological warfare. Is it a deal? I want to relieve the sex potion, Natalie asked. She wanted to stay a virgin. In her eyes, this was more important than life. Shawn pursed his lips deeply but did not speak for a long time. Can you only take away half of it? Natalie, how do we know if you're playing tricks? Shawn asked cautiously. Believe it or not, Gale said. Deal. She was eager to love her daughter, but did not have the concentration of Shawn. If the negotiations continued like this, she was afraid she would not even get half of the antidote. Gale was too worried that something would happen to Nicole's health. She could get half of the antidote. Of course, she hoped to get all the antidotes, but judging from the current situation, it was not realistic. Give it to me. Natalie spread out her palm. To her, the daily pain was nothing. She cared more about the sex potion. If Natalie was reduced to a plaything like Winnie, it would be worse than killing her. Gale turned to look at Shawn. She was not confident at first, but Shawn's words gave her full confidence. He would always stand by her side and would always support her all her decisions. Shawn took out the antidote. It was a small one. This is the real antidote. Natalie, where's yours? Shawn said. Natalie did not speak, but turned around, picked up the tile, and cut her finger. The bright red blood fell into the glass, staining half of the glass of water red. Here, let Nicole drink it, she said. Shawn and Gale looked at each other. Natalie's blood was the antidote? No one thought of it. If it was that simple, then would this spell be completely unraveled if Nicole drank her blood every day? Don't think things are so simple, I said. I would only give half of the antidote, so my blood can only count as half of the antidote. You will never guess the other half. Natalie sneered. Gale took it. She gritted her teeth. I'm going to feed Nicole now, while Shawn, stay here. If it works, I'll notify him immediately and ask him to give you the antidote, she said. Natalie nodded. Okay. Gale gripped the cup tightly and walked out quickly. Oh, by the way, you probably don't know what Nicole will be like if you only undo half of the spell, Natalie said. Gale paused. It would be like she has amnesia. Chapter 1222. Natalie laughed. So, Gale, you can look forward to it. Nicole will remember you soon. Her body trembled violently. Natalie immediately continued. However, after a while, Nicole will forget you again. She will go back and forth between remembering and forgetting you. Natalie, go. At least it's much better than her not recognizing you at all. Natalie was still smiling. Gale did not have this time to waste here. She took a look at Shawn. I'll go first. Okay. Gale hurried away with blood in her hand. No matter what, she finally got half of the antidote. It was important to save Nicole first. As soon as Gale left, there was a brief silence in the ward. Natalie put the cut finger in her mouth and slowly sucked the blood away. What a crazy woman. Mr. Wood, you should be very upset now. Why didn't you expect that the antidote is my blood? He narrowed his eyes slightly. You really have a lot of crooked ways. How can it compare to you? You poisoned me without anyone noticing and then tricked me into taking the second one. You are my superior, Natalie replied. Shawn was too lazy to answer her, his eyes fixed on her, looking back and forth. Natalie opened her hands. Come on, look. Just look around. I know you must be looking at me. Is there any part of my body that can be used as the other half of the antidote? Shawn put one hand in the pocket of his trousers. His aura was cold. His eyes were full of murderous intent, and there was no gentleness or peace, only bloodthirst. Since Gale was not there, he could completely release it and no longer have to control the hostility in his heart. If I guess correctly, the other half of the antidote is not on you at all. Only you know how to get the remaining antidote, Shawn said. You are smart, Mr. Wood. So, if I die, you will never find or get the antidote. Natalie, what exactly do you want? Now there are only two of us here. Let's negotiate, he asked. What do I want? Natalie raised her head and laughed. In the beginning, I just wanted to use Winnie's hand to kill Gale's prestige. Everyone thought she was dead, but in the end, she returned with your child and again stood in a high position. But who knows? Immediately afterward, Arum wanted to break off the engagement with me. I asked him why, but he hesitated and couldn't tell me the reason. He didn't admit it until I pressed him again and again. Why? Why does it have to be Gale? She disappeared for 4 years, and once she returns, both you and Arum still have a deep love for her. Natalie gritted her teeth. Her facial features became extremely distorted. I won't let Nicole go. That spell originally had a time limit, and it will automatically expire after time limit expires. Shawn pursed his thin lips. What? Is there a time limit? Yes, but I knew after Winnie got what she wanted, she would stop paying attention to me, so I removed the expiry date so that I can control her. This spell, as long as I don't undo it, will follow her for the rest of her life. In this case, Gale will be in pain for the rest of her life. Her most beloved daughter, who doesn't know her, calls someone else's mommy. How sad and tormenting she is. Shawn said coldly. Is it your ultimate goal to make Gale suffer? Chapter 1223. Yes, she can't live comfortably for the rest of her life. She can't develop a relationship with Arum either. I want her to think of me when she sees Arum. In this way, she will not be able to be with Arum. After all, what Natalie cared most about was Arum. The loss of Arum led to her becoming what she is now. Mr. Wood, Gale is your wife. Can you just watch her and Arum stay together? Your possessiveness is obviously more terrifying and stronger than mine, Natalie asked. Shawn's deep eyes were extremely cold. You are not worthy to be compared with me. You are not a good person. In order to get Gale, you can do many evil things. For example, threatening Arum. Another example was resolutely not to divorce. Also, he could fuss about Nicole's custody rights. He could sign an agreement with Gale. Once she divorces, Nicole will automatically belong to him, Shawn. He had many ways to keep Gale and destroy her relationship with Arum. It was just Shawn would not do it again. Natalie, your love is too selfish. No wonder you haven't been able to truly grasp Arum's heart for so many years, Shawn said. That hit Natalie's sore spot. That was right. Gale disappeared a few years ago, and in the following years, Natalie and Arum stayed together. However, Arum treated her only out of fulfilling the duties of the marriage contract, without the slightest bit of love for her. As soon as Gale appeared, Arum's attention was drawn away. Natalie never really got Arum from the beginning to the end. Stop it! Arum loves me, and he still loves me. It's just that he loves Gale more. He loves the little girl in his memory more. Natalie roared. She scratched her hair and wept bitterly. Amidst the crying, Shawn's phone rang. It was Gale who called. I've already given Nicole a drink, and her lips stopped being purple, and her body temperature has returned to normal. Is she awake? Shawn asked deeply. Not yet, but she keeps calling Mommy. Gale said, You can give Natalie the antidote. She did not want to break her promise. She still wanted to get the other half of the antidote. Okay, Shawn replied deeply and hung up the phone. Natalie stared at him. Give it to me. I poured my own blood. It's definitely the real antidote. Shawn snorted coldly, raised his hand, and threw the small antidote to her. Chapter 1224. The pill was thrown at her. Natalie stared intently, her eyes full of greed. She jumped up and reached out to take it. Without looking at it, she raised her hand and stuffed it into her mouth. She did not even have time to drink water, so she swallowed desperately and swallowed the pill dry like that. A smile appeared on her face. Okay, my virginity can be preserved again. I am still clean and Aaron may still like me. If I am dirty, it's really not good enough for him, she said to herself. He keeps saying that he loves Gale and he has never let go of the little girl in his memory. So Gale suddenly appeared and he couldn't help himself and wanted to pursue the happy memories of his childhood. While talking, Natalie laughed, looking very innocent. Well, that must be it. However, how could Shawn let her feel better? He could torture a person's body, but what he was better at was torturing a person's mind. Don't deceive yourself, Natalie. Aaron fell in love with Gale a long time ago. Before he knew her background, he had already fallen in love with her. It's just that you didn't know. Shawn's lips twitched. Shawn did not know it at that time. He always thought that Aram had a fiancée and a good reputation in Sis City, so he would not change his mind. Maybe they were really just friends and they really hit it off. Thinking about it now, some things were really doomed from the start. Natalie shook her head again and again. You, what are you talking about? Stop talking nonsense. Natalie, do you remember 4 years ago, Gale jumped into the sea on the yacht? Shawn asked. Remember? Of course, I remember. At that time, I was on another yacht. At that time, Aram was absent-minded and even quarreled with me, which made me angry. That was their first fight. So Natalie's memory is exceptionally clear. Do you know the truth about Gale jumping into the sea? It's been 4 years, Shawn asked. Who is behind Gale jumping into the sea? Shawn said. That was a fake death planned by Aram for her. After she jumped, someone had picked her up from the bottom of the sea, brought her ashore without anyone noticing, and then sent her out of Sea City. She went to a new place and started over again. Natalie froze. Even the female corpse that was picked up later was arranged by Aram. Aram was the one who planned the whole thing behind the scenes. And you, from the beginning to the end, were by his side without knowing it, Shawn said. Every word stunned Natalie. She was stunned for a long time before she suddenly realized. It turns out that Gale was not simply lucky to be rescued by someone, nor was she washed up on the beach by the waves. She is. Natalie suddenly yelled heart-piercingly, No! I don't believe it. Shawn, you are lying to me. You are lying to me. Both Aram and Gale have admitted this to me personally. Then why didn't you punish them? Why? Shawn, aren't you angry? Are you not angry? They plot against you, betray you, and she wants to leave you, Natalie asked. Chapter 1225. Because I did something wrong, Gale would rather risk feigning death than stay by my side, so I have no right to be angry. You actually chose to forgive? Shawn nodded. Yes, I don't need to pursue this matter. It's just that you should also know the existence of this matter. Shawn knew how to anger and trigger Natalie. Natalie, why did Aram take such a big risk to help Gale? Is it because of friendship? Is it because he sympathizes with her? Or is he trying to fight against me? You are also a smart person. You understand why. Natalie said softly with difficulty. He loves Gale. That's right. 4 years ago, he fell in love with her. He already wanted to break off the engagement with you back then. Aram loves Gale. Once, he loved the daughter of the Yarn family, the little Gale in his time. Once, he fell in love with Gale, who reunited after many years, Natalie murmured, tears streaming down her face unconsciously. That was to say, no matter if Gale was Gale or the daughter of the Yarn family, Aram could not help but fall in love with her. The person Aram loved was always Gale. It was not her, Natalie. Ah! Natalie yelled. Her voice was so piercing that her eardrums were about to burst. I don't believe it. It's fake. It's all fake. You are lying to me, Shawn. You just want to stimulate me and hurt me. Natalie kept yelling. Aren't you in pain? Don't you feel sad? The man next to you always wanted a different woman. Natalie rushed over and her eyes widened. Quickly, go punish them and vent your dissatisfaction. Don't suppress yourself. Gale betrayed you. She doesn't love you anymore. You should be angry and let her lose everything. Shawn raised his hand to grab her neck and pulled her forward. The back of his hand showed his bulging veins. Natalie, I'm telling you this to let you know that you and I were both kept in the dark and didn't know about the fake death. Shawn's strength is getting stronger and stronger. Listen well. You hand over the other half of the antidote. I will cure your poison and then leave Sea City. As long as you don't step into town again, I won't trouble you. Natalie's body trembled constantly, and her breathing gradually became short and rapid. Will you let me go? Yes. Natalie opened her mouth halfway, and the color of her lips gradually turned dark purple. At this moment, the door was suddenly slammed open. Oram rushed in. He was in the corridor just now, and before he got close, he heard Natalie's heart-piercing shouts. He thought that something had happened, so he rushed over as fast as he could and even fought with the bodyguards outside the door before he slammed open the door with all his might. Chapter 1226. In Orum's heart, he still did not want Natalie to die. No matter what, living was better than dying. Shawn, let her go! Orum ran over. Shawn let go expressionlessly. Natalie's body fell limply to the ground. She clutched her neck and coughed loudly. Her face was flushed, and it took several minutes to recover. Drink some water, please. Slow down, don't choke. Aram squatted beside her, hugging her. Natalie gulped water furiously, and her hands were shaking. Aram looked at her nervously. Is it better? Natalie met his gaze. Aram, it's me. I know it's you. Why do you still care about me? Am I dreaming? Is this real? Did it happen? Natalie looked at him infatuatedly. She raised her hand to touch Aram's face. Aram did not dodge. Natalie laughed. Really, it's you. Aram sighed. Natalie, seeing you like this makes me feel bad. Don't be so stubborn anymore. For yourself and for the Yarn family, admit your mistake. The Yarn family? The Yarn family is not my home. Natalie cried again. She was crying and laughing like a psycho. Aram frowned and looked at Shawn. What's wrong with her? Shawn replied. Isn't it normal for her to look like this? When Natalie woke up, she was depressed. Arum, Gale is the daughter of the Yarn family, and she is the biological daughter of her parents. You already know about this, Natalie said. Arum paused for a few seconds, then nodded. Yes. You should be the first to know. You discovered this secret. Arum fell silent. Who told Natalie? He did not intend to let Natalie know about this because it would irritate her. Under such strong aggravation, it was even more difficult to get the antidote from Natalie. Arum, before you didn't know that Gale was the girl you were looking for, did you already fall in love with her? Natalie asked. Arum remained silent. Answer me. I want to hear. Are you still unwilling to tell the truth? Natalie begged desolately. She grabbed Arum's wrist and shook it again and again. Shawn stood aside indifferently. He also wanted to hear Arum's real thoughts. After a few seconds of silence, Arum spoke. I wasn't sure before whether my feelings for Gale were love or not. I channeled it into friendship, sincerely, because I know that the person I want to marry is not her, but you, Natalie. You are my fiancé, and we will always be together. I also told Gale that I will definitely marry you and only you. Natalie asked sadly, You married me not because you love me, but because I am the daughter of the Yarn family. Chapter 1227. Well, it's not even the daughter of the Yarn family that you want to marry. You want to marry the little girl in your memory, and I would have replaced the little girl for the next 20 years, Natalie said. Yes, so even though Gale tempted me, I kept my restraint until I found out she was the one I was looking for all along, Arum admitted. At that moment, all the emotions came overwhelmingly. How could Arum resist? A great surprise enveloped him. She is Gale, and she is also the person he has loved since childhood. No one could match her position in his heart. You love her. You only love her. What am I? Arum, what am I from the beginning to the end? Just now, you treated me like that? Why do you take care of me? You should hate me. Natalie covered her face, heartbroken. Natalie, I have no love for you, but how can I bear to watch you degenerate after all these years together? Aram raised his hand, pinched her shoulder, and said empathetically, Natalie, you can change. Natalie met his eyes numbly. She was like an empty shell without a soul. Otherwise, if this continues, I will not be able to save you. Don't let me and the Yarn family down, Aram said. Natalie slowly shook her head. You don't belong to me, and I don't belong to the Yarn family. I don't care what you expect of me, Aram asked. Are you sure you want to be an enemy? Natalie stopped talking. As long as you turn around, there are still people waiting for you. Don't put yourself in a lonely position. We don't have a marriage contract, but we can still be friends. Aram continued to persuade. Did you hear that? Natalie, I can always take care of you like an elder brother. I haven't given up on you yet, so don't give up on yourself either. After a while, Natalie still shook her head. No matter what Aram said, she listened and did not speak or agree. Enough. Aram, come out with me, Shawn said. Aram glanced at Natalie. Natalie did not hold him back, nor did she look at him. Her eyes did not know where to look, and they were distracted and lifeless. Aram got up and walked out of the ward with Shawn, one after the other. Standing by the window in the corridor, Shawn said lightly, For Natalie's side, it's useless to persuade her with good words or threats. She won't take any tricks, and she won't do anything. Don't waste any more effort. How did she become like this? Before you threatened her with the Yarn family, she was obviously scared. Aram was puzzled. because of the birth story. Why did you let her know about Gale's life experience? This matter should be kept from her, Aram said. Shawn sneered and said sarcastically, Do you think I did not think about this? I didn't tell her about it. Who is that? The Yarn family. Aram was stunned. Uncle, things are far more complicated than you imagined. Do you know Natalie's background? Shawn looked at him deeply. Yes. Shawn was a little surprised. You know? She is the adopted daughter of the Yarn family. I have always been aware of this. After she was officially adopted by the Yarn family, I treated her as the missing Gale. I gave her everything Gale should have without reservation, Aram replied. Chapter 1228. He gave her the identity of the young mistress of the Lefting family. His care and concern, just no love. If Gale had not appeared and the mystery of her life had not been solved, Aram would have always been kind to Natalie. Unfortunately, there was no if. In addition, Aram was shocked and heartbroken when Natalie did such a thing, and it was absolutely impossible to forgive her. Therefore, even if Gale was not the missing daughter of the Yarn family, Aram would never be with Natalie again. He could not accept marrying a cruel and vicious woman. Wrong. Natalie is not just the adopted daughter of the Yarn family. She is the biological daughter of the Yarn family, Shawn said. Aram looked at him. What are you talking about? How could she be a biological daughter? 2 paternity tests have been done, and the results will be available soon. 2 tests? Gale's and Mary's? And who else's? Natalie's and Matthew's. Aram's pupils dilated unconsciously. He seemed to understand, and then not to. Natalie is Matthew's illegitimate daughter. In other words, she is Gale's half-sister. Shawn answered his doubts. As soon as Shawn finished speaking, Aram immediately denied it. No, this is impossible. He could not accept this reality. Shawn must be talking nonsense. You don't have to believe it. You will understand when the paternity test is out. Or you can ask Matthew directly. Shawn replied. Aram stood there in a daze, not recovering for a long time. How so? Natalie turned out to be an illegitimate daughter. She was also the daughter of the Yarn family. She was Gale's half-sister. This was so shocking. After a while, Aram recovered his voice. How do you know? Did you check the details of the Yarn family? During the 2 days when you didn't show up, Matthew helped Natalie escape, but I found him and captured him. Then, Natalie said it herself. Obviously, Matthew revealed this little-known secret when he let Natalie go. Matthew thought that Natalie would be able to leave City smoothly, and it would be very difficult to meet and contact her in the future, so he revealed the secret. However, after Natalie was arrested, she learned that Gale was the real daughter of the Yarn family. She was greatly aggrieved and revealed her life experience. It was estimated that Matthew himself did not expect that this unfilial daughter would directly disclose it. Aram clenched his fist tightly with his hands hanging by his side. He also had trouble digesting the truth. Natalie is a mess now. Threatening the Yarn family is useless to her. We must think of a new way to force her to hand over all the antidotes, Shawn said. Aram took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. In the past 2 days, I have been thinking about this issue. I thought about it a lot, and I didn't sleep at night, he said. Shawn turned around and looked out the window into the distance. Have you figured out a way to break this situation? The key point had always been on Natalie. However, Natalie was not afraid of death or pain, not afraid of dragging down the Yarn family, and invulnerable to both soft rewards and hard threats. This made Shawn helpless. Chapter 1229. His purpose was not to torture Natalie but to get the antidote. In the corridor, there was a deathly silence. Both men pursed their lips tightly, thinking about countermeasures. After a while, Orm slowly said, "I have a way." Shawn looked at him sideways. "Are you sure it will work?" "I'm not sure, but it will definitely be our last and only way. If this trick doesn't work, then nothing or any means can make Natalie compromise," Aurum replied. Natalie did not care about the life and death of the Yarn family. Then, what else could make Natalie afraid and compromise? Is it Natalie's biological mother, using her mother's safety to threaten her? Shawn asked deeply. No. First of all, it will take a certain amount of time for us to find her biological mother, and it will take a lot of trouble. In any case, Natalie hates her mother for not wanting her and sending her to the Yarn family. Made sense. Shawn frowned deeply. Tell me about your method. Ara met Shawn's eyes and said something. Is there any more poison you gave Natalie? Shawn instantly understood what he meant. This method was too risky. Therefore, Shawn did not speak for a long time, nor did he take any action. Give it to me. This is the only way, and this is the last way. Arm spread out his palms. Shawn remained motionless. Natalie loves me. Since I was a child, she has always followed me inseparably, looking at me with sparkling eyes. I know that she loves me very much. Because of this, I was more determined to marry her, even if I didn't love her, even though I clearly had the right to refuse the marriage, Aurum said. Anyway, since the person I want to marry was missing, I will marry anyone in my life. Since she had feelings for me, then I planned to fulfill her. A large part of the reason why Natalie became like this is because of me. Because she loves me, and because she is afraid of losing me. That's why she started to target Gale little by little. Everything she did was just to defend her own love. Shawn's thin lips moved, wanting to say something, but in the end, he did not interrupt Aram. Aram smiled. After thinking about it, I'm the one Natalie cares about the most. Then, if I'm also poisoned and suffer from poison every day, she would be moved. At that time, she will come and ask you for the antidote. Shawn, you can take advantage of the situation and ask her to undo the spell. Aram paused for a few seconds. I think she will agree. This is what Aram came up with after thinking for 2 whole days. He used himself as bait. He literally would take the poison. It was also a gamble, bet on how much Natalie loved him more than herself. The air seemed to freeze. Give it to me. When the time comes, tell Natalie that you forcibly fed me. If she wants me to live, she will have to hand over the antidote in exchange for the antidote in your hand, Aram said. This is the only way, Shawn said. You can pretend to be poisoned, but there's no need to really eat it. After all, this poison only tortures people when it activates, and it's not obvious. Chapter 1230. No matter how good the acting is, there will still be flaws. This is already the last resort. If Natalie finds out, then all previous efforts will be for naught. She still rejected him. No. One was because of the risk. The second was because he felt that Gale would not agree. He could not just reach an agreement with Aram in private. Anyway, you have the antidote. Try it, and there is still a chance of success. If Natalie doesn't take the bait and doesn't care about my life, you can give me the antidote when the time comes, Arm said. In order to relieve the tension in the atmosphere, Arm smiled and said deliberately, "You do have the antidote, right?" Shawn certainly has an antidote. However, taking poison was not child's play. "I will think about it. I can just give it to you," Shawn replied. Arm sighed and slowly withdrew his hand. "Okay, but we can't afford to delay. The sooner the better. I want Nicole to recognize Gale as soon as possible so that they can return to the happy days of the past." This approach was adventurous and bold. It was all about gambling. However, it was really a good move. Natalie is a woman who is crazy about love, and the probability that she will hand over the antidote for love is also very high. The process of poisoning is very, very painful. Arum, don't think that Natalie, I mean to say, she is mad. She is not afraid of death. I know, the more painful I feel, the softer Natalie will be. After all, he was the bait. Only when Arum was really poisoned and suffered deathly pain in front of Natalie could Natalie's love and pity be aroused. In fact, the highest state of loving someone was pity and distress. He wanted to hurt. Let us see if Arum's method could make Natalie hand over the antidote. We still need to think about it more carefully, and I want to discuss it with Gale. Shawn pursed his lips deeply. Arum was startled. "Don't tell her!" "Do you think you can hide it from her? Besides, she has the right to know." "But she won't agree. The sooner the better, lest there will be any accidents again. Or you wait until I eat it, so it's not too late to tell her," Arm said. Shawn suddenly smiled. That was right. Gale would not agree, because she loves Arum. How can people who love each other bear to see their loved ones take risks? No need to ask. Shawn knew that Gale would definitely disagree. He could not just agree to Arum without her authorization, lest she blamed him and hated him every night. "I'm leaving first. I'll let you know when I have any news." Shawn turned around. "Give it to me." "Impossible." "Then, the sooner the better, preferably tonight." Arum took a step back. Shawn had already gone far. Arum stood where he was with a serious expression on his face. Taking the poison was a big deal. Of course, Arum would be fine because Shawn could give him the antidote at any time. However, during the process of poisoning, he would lose reason and memory. The pain would disappear, and he would do things that hurt his body uncontrollably. That was why Natalie had so many bruises and wounds. Arum looked at the closed door of the ward. He felt quite shameless. However, there was really no way out.